Hello everyone. Today we are tackling paper 3, Law of Contracts. We are focusing on offer and acceptance and more specifically the problem-based questions. If you have seen the exam papers, you know section A is all about those 25 problem questions. In these types of questions, the examiners are not testing your memory. They want to see if you can untangle a real-life mess. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you how to spot the difference between offer and acceptance. I'm also going to show you how to use the IRAC method to structure your essays so that you don't miss any marks. I'm also going to show you how to weaponize the case laws and use them to win an argument. By the end of this video, you will know how to structure your problem questions to hit those AO1 and AO2 marks. So let's get to it. Okay, let us look at a real example. You are in the exam, you turn on the page and you see a big wall of text like this. Before the panic sets in, remember this is not just a story. This is a legal puzzle that needs a legal solution. We are going to break down this scenario with Bella and Arthur. But before you read a single word of their story, I want you to stop. What is the very first thing you should do the moment you see a question like this? Now that we have looked at the scenario, let us talk about how to actually build your response. Remember, in paper 3, your structure is as important as your knowledge. We are going to use Arthur and Bella as our practice. But before you even touch your answer booklet, I want you to grab some scrap paper for a quick plan. Now, what is the first thing you do when you get this kind of a question? The first thing you do is to identify the parties to the claim. And more specifically, you want to identify who are you representing, who is the anchor to your response. Now, and how do you do that? For example, on this scenario, go to the bottom of the page where it's written advise Bella and circle it. Now, from now, you are not just writing an essay, you are Bella's lawyer. Every fact that you read from now should answer one question. Does this hurt or help Bella? Now, the second thing you do is you map out or hunt for timings. Now, remember, contract law is about timings. A deal can be won or lost based on what happened, for example, at 10 a.m. and 10:05. Now, and also these timings are very important because they dictate what rules you should apply in the scenario. So mark those timings clearly. The third step is for you to spot the communication triggers. Now you have to scan the text to see, for example, how are they talking? Is it an email? Is it a letter in the post? Is it just silence? Now, by doing this, you have just turned a confusing story into a map. Now that you have set out the stage, let us look at what happened on Monday and see where the legal issues actually begin. Now that we have identified the claimant and the postal rule and mapped out the necessary timelines, the next major step is to apply the IRAC method to structuring your essay. Now, the IRAC method, to me, is a secret sauce to structuring problem question answers. The method ensures that you address all the assessment objectives, may it be AO1 or AO2s. Now, under the IRAC method, a complete answer should identify at least 4 things. Now, the first thing you should identify is the legal issues. The legal issues are questions that you have in the scenario. So you have to clearly identify them. The next thing is to name the law or identify the legal principles applicable to the issue that you have just raised. It could be case laws or statutory law. Now, the third step, and the most important of it, is the analysis part or the application. Now, this is usually the not only the important, but the longest part of your answer. It is the part where you explain how the legal rules specifically applies to the fact provided in the exam scenario. Now, you will need to discuss both sides. Now, and if there's an ambiguity, you predict what each party's lawyer might argue. Now, the last part of the IRAC method is the conclusion. Now, in this type of questions, you don't leave the examiner hanging. Now, you have to have a direct answer to the issues that you have posted. It's about who is liable and the likely outcome, or what advice you would give to the parties. Now, for your conclusions, make sure you keep them concise. And if there are multiple issues, you will have to have multiple conclusions. On this slide, we look at the first requirement for the IRAC method, which is to identify or extract legal issues from this story. The first legal issue here is whether Bella's inquiry about the payment in installments killed the offer or not. Now, this issue represents a classic debate between counter-offer or request for information. Now, if it's just a request for information or a question, the offer remains valid. If it is a counter-offer, the offer is dead. Now, remember to always support your argument with the relevant case law. Now, here the relevant case law is that of Hyde versus Wrench or Stevenson. The second issue relates to the application of the Postal Rule. We have to decide whether a contract was formed when Bella posted her letter through post office on Wednesday morning. If yes, Bella wins. If not, she's in trouble. The relevant case law here is that of Adams versus Lindsell. The third issue here is whether Arthur's silence on Tuesday and his secret sale to a third party on Wednesday amounts to an effective revocation of Arthur's offer to Bella. The reference case here is Byrne versus Tienhoven. The fourth issue to consider is whether Arthur's wordings, which says, I need you to reply by Thursday, is a now-struck loss, or it prevents the application of the Postal Rule. Now, what this basically means is that Bella's letter on Wednesday morning wouldn't be enough. Now, these are the 4 rules that are the pillars of your answer. If you miss any one of this, you are actually leaving marks on the table. In the next segment, we are going to look at the application part of it, and I'm going to show you how to use the IRAC method on these issues. On the next segment, we get to the part that separates the E grade from the A grade, the application part. Now that we have spotted the issues, we have to now argue them. So let's walk through Arthur and Bella's story and apply the law step by step. First, we look at Tuesday. And here is your argument or application. Because Bella did not say no to the £2,000 and was merely inquiring about payment, this is a request for information. Remember, you have to support your argument with the relevant case law. And here, the relevant case law is that of Stevenson. So how do you state this? You say that based on Stevenson, a mere inquiry does not terminate an offer, and that offer was still legally on the table when Wednesday morning arrived. However, you might also want to mention that Arthur could actually use Hyde versus Wrench to argue that Bella's inquiry was a counter. Next, we apply the Postal Rule. Bella posted her acceptance on Wednesday morning. If you apply Adams versus Lindsell, the acceptance is effective the moment the letter is put in the control of the post office. Now, the argument here is that if the Postal Rule applies, a binding contract was formed on Wednesday morning. This means that when Arthur sold the records to Charlie on Wednesday afternoon, he was in breach of contract with Bella, even if he did not know yet that the law says the deal was done. On this slide, we evaluate the available defenses to Arthur. And if you look at the illustration keenly, one of the defenses available to Arthur could be Howell Securities. Now, Arthur could actually argue that he specified that he needed a reply by Thursday. Now, you could state your answer this way, that if the court agrees with Arthur's wordings requiring actual receipt, then there is a contract formed on Wednesday. That since he only received the letter on Friday, Bella's acceptance was too late. On revocation, base your argument on the case of Byrne versus Tienhoven, and your argument is that revocation is effective when communicated to the offeree. mentioned that Arthur never told Bella he sold the records to a third party. Therefore, the sale to Charlie does not legally stop Bella from accepting the offer. Don't forget to mention also that Arthur could argue that the offer was effectively revoked when he sold the records to a third party. The last part of your answer is the conclusion. To conclude this up, state that the outcome of Bella's case depends on two critical pillars of contract law. That is, the nature of her inquiry and the application of the Postal Rule. In summary, you can conclude that a contract was likely formed on Wednesday morning between Bella and Arthur, and this is because her inquiry did not kill the offer. Secondly, because Arthur did not opt out of the Postal Rule. This last slide is a reminder on how to dissect the paper 3 scenario-based questions. First is to identify the claimants or the client. The second thing is to map out the timelines, and you do it clearly. The third thing is to identify the legal issues and apply the law accordingly. And the fourth thing is to give a balanced conclusion. If you find this breakdown helpful, subscribe for the next law revision video. Good luck in your revision and see you in the next video.